It's another day where we are reminded of our role to be at the very center of the development of this country. Na tujenge taifa letu. The very words of our national anthem, that we have a role to play. So Friday with Mr. B, of course, engages. Mr. B, good to see you this day. It's a very precious moment, and I'm looking at the way we've been developing. Last week we were talking about, the place of corruption, South Africa, and we had Mr. Paul from South Africa. And you brought in a very special case of the Chief Justice, Dr. Willie Mutunga, coming out and saying, I'm ready for a social audit to be conducted in my department, the Judicial Service Commission. And then all of a sudden this week, revelations come in that indeed there could be corruption. And names have been mentioned. Justice Philip Tunoi. Very major allegations. Of course, there are two sides of the coin as I look at it, and then you could just tell us what you make out of it. For Kabete, Member of Parliament, who had, appealed the election of Nairobi Governor Dr. Evans Kidero back in 2013, for him it's a big plus. He feels, you know what, there was injustice because of the revelations that actually Justice Philip Tunoi, the allegations that he was given a bribe of $2 million by Dr. Evans Kidero. So we might say generally that he's smiling all the way to the bank. But there's also a very serious situation, Mr. B, we are facing. That the highest court in the land is at the very center of corruption, which basically can trickle down to even hurt the presidency and even the governance of this country. What do you make out of all that?
Yes. I think it's a very, very serious matter, because this is the highest court of really arbitration, let's say. It is the one that can arbitrate the organs of states, legislature. If there was conflict with the executive, that is the court they go to. Yeah? If there was conflict between major organs of society, when you need finality in the interpretation of Constitution. Supreme Court also creates laws because of the finality their judgment has. When they make a judgment, it becomes part of the law. So the other serious matter is that it could trigger crisis of untold proportion, because if that court cannot be trusted, that means that what would follow is chaos, because people have no hope. And you remember last time when there was conflict between top political players in the election, they were, hey, you are the one who is going to arbitrate. But if people know that somebody could be given money, all the decisions they have made, they go to the dogs. That's how serious it is a fundamental organ for stability in a country.
Wow. Mr. B, of course this is a matter that is now being handled by a special court, a special team, because even the Judicial Service Commission said, you know what, we will not handle this. We want a special team to be constituted. It will have the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission represented, the Director of Public Prosecutions represented, the Judicial Service Commission represented. Once they have heard both sides, that is of the so-called whistleblower, Geoffrey Kiplagat side, and then of course Justice Philip Tunoi, then they will give their final verdict. Of course, in a week's time, that report should go out. But let's begin to analyze the whole scenario. First of all, it starts with a whistleblower, the person who comes and says, this is the situation. Mr. B, you've seen it, you've been a whistleblower once. What are the factors here that we should look at from the place of the rights and responsibilities of a whistleblower, but also the credibility of the whistleblower? What do you have to say to that?
First of all, this is a bit complex situation because you are talking about the credibility of whistleblower, you are talking of the credibility of the judge. Yeah?
Now the governor as well.
And the then governor. So 3 players there. Let's start with the 2. That is the governor and the justice. Let's look. If you look at Kidero, his track record, right or wrong, is marred with the claims of corruption. Yeah? That one is not defendable because it has occurred many times. Yeah? Even when you put a spotlight on the way the county is being run,
all these claims,
his chief officer is already being investigated regarding corruption. And he has not said you have to step down. Kidero has not come to say first step down. No. Let's come to the judge. The way I know this Judge Tunoi is because he was involved in my own case in 1994. Involving me and the writer then, David Makali. So they were Riaga Omolo, Tunoi, and Coker.
Justice Coker.
Yeah. And that is a case where President Moi, when a case was going on, it was being heard. And he talks when he was in Kirinyaga. This was about registering the University Dons Association. So, at the lower level, registrar had refused to register them. So they went to that process of the court. Until now they were Court of Appeal. And those guys, Moi said the dons will not be registered, whatever they want to do. And now the case was heard, nobody cited contempt of any kind, and they ruled as Moi was saying. So we wrote in then People Daily that it was smelling of State House interference. And then they said, contempt of court, Bida and David Makali. And that's how and our case started from Court of Appeal. And the cases never start like that. They ought to have started in the lower courts. Because that time we didn't have Supreme Court. The final court was Court of Appeal. So what it meant is that they had denied us opportunity for appeal. And there was hue and cry. And I think it's the only case that has ever started from Court of Appeal. And Tunoi was one of those judges now they disqualified Riaga Omolo. Yeah? So when I saw him as judge of Supreme Court, I said, what has happened there? Is it politics that was used? If it was not politics, then this case, he should have been asked, how did you make this judgment? So from my point of view, it's very hard equally to defend him.
Because of all these concerns, and you've had a very personal...
Yes.
So
now, Kidero would not be as credible that he is telling people the truth. This man, in my view, would not be credible. The source, I don't know the source very well.
Mr. Geoffrey Kiplagat, a journalist, used to work with Cass FM, moved on to Cass Magazine, then Weekly, and also wanted to got into politics as well. So he's also sort of a journalist come politician.
Okay. What I can say is that when something happens like that, and you take number of years, because this is the 3rd year, we have finished 3 years, isn't it? Yeah.
2016, 2017.
Well, we have spent 3 years, and then he has come out. So the question is, why did you keep quiet about this 200 million? Is it that you are to get a portion of it, and you have been struggling to get it? Maybe you have threatened before. So that too, his credibility is also shaky. He should have said, why I'm coming out is because they didn't give me my portion. Now, whenever something happens, there must be some reason why it is happening. If somebody's behavior changes, then what has caused that change? So I'm asking this guy, if you are able to keep quiet for 3 years, what has happened now?
You decided to open up, right?
You decided to open up.
I mean, he says, you know, he has had this burden for a very long time. And of course, he filed an affidavit last year. That is November. And he basically says, you know, I just wanted to get this load out of my heart. And also he says that he just wants to tell people that in as much as there are all these clean people, they seem to be clean, but there is a problem. Yeah, perhaps I want to take a short break for now, and then we come back, and then now we analyze the place of moving forward, from the whistleblower to the people who have been mentioned, and also the media. When do you give somebody a moment to speak out, especially the media, as we are supposed to be the gatekeepers? We'll be coming back, and we'll be looking at all that here on Friday with Mr. B. Remember, we want all of us, you and I, to be at the very center of the development of this country. So don't go away. We'll be right back.